What's up, everybody, and welcome to another year of video game ass predictions. That's right, Peach Booty here, and I'm giving you my 2026 video game butt predictions. Another year where people did their Game of the Years at the end of 2025, just like I did my asses of the year in video games, and I'm going right into the predictions, and the predictions themselves are going to be ass. And this year, 2026, has been off to an ass start, literally, with Code Violet, a game that everybody's rating poorly because it's such an ass game. But I have to give credit to its ass because it is literally one of the biggest asses that I've seen in a video game. And they don't want to put it on PC because they don't want people to do mods. And anybody that watches my channel, I also don't like to do mods. So I feel like they didn't really have to talk about that at all. They could have just put it on PS5 and it was fine, and really just had the giant ass speak for itself. But enough about Code Violet. Let's talk about some of the predictions that I got wrong last year, because 2025 I actually got most of my video game ass predictions correct. But one of them, the biggest letdown, was that there was no Armika in this past season, or this current season of Street Fighter 6. But I'm hoping by next season that we might get Armika, because she's been shown in an image to represent new costumes that I think are more for the avatar, or potentially colors represented by these characters based off this video here. But I think if we don't get Armika this year, that's probably it. That's probably the last chance. So we can all hope that after we got the swimsuits and all that, that not only would we potentially get Armika in the next season, but we might just get better outfits for the already ass-centric characters like Chun-Li and Cammy that are in the game already. So I'm hoping that Armika gets in. When it comes to the only really other thing I think I got incorrect last year was that Zero Suit Samus not being in Metroid Prime 4, and that was at the very end of last year. But one prediction I did get right was Mario Kart World. I predicted that in the beginning of the year, when all we saw Peach was riding a motorcycle, but she was just in her dress, and people were complaining, oh, no biker suits, stuff like that. And I was like, no, we are going to get tons of outfits, and you can wear any outfit with any kart, and I was right about that. So I'm going to mix an incorrect prediction with a correct prediction, in that, again, this is like shooting for the moon. I don't know if this is actually going to happen. I'd be surprised if it did, but it's a fun prediction. That would be awesome if it was right. But because of the whole Viola motorcycle thing with Samus in Metroid Prime 4, if we could get Samus in Mario Kart World as a guest character, and for her whole biker suit thing, they do the Zero Suit Samus heavyweight in Mario Kart World, I don't think it's going to happen. It's probably going to tally up my incorrect predictions for this year when it comes to ass in video games, but it would be a fun one, and Mario Kart World desperately needs some content updates, and I think if we don't hear anything by this year, that game is not getting any sort of substantial updates until way later down the line, like they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But speaking of Mario Kart and its updates, the kind of update I would predict for Mario Kart World is still that Donkey Kong Bonanza update that we haven't gotten yet. They have, spoiler alert for Bonanza, but they have Void Kong and King K. Rool's voice actors in the credits for Mario Kart World. Plus, we have Pauline and Donkey Kong. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but they both only have one extra outfit. Pauline, I guess I could understand that, but Donkey Kong only having one extra outfit seems crazy to me. And we still have that concept art out there of Pauline in her touring outfit, so there is at least one other outfit for Pauline that we know existed at one point at least. And speaking of outfits for Pauline, we have pretty much the next game that will be coming out that has any sort of ass to it, and that is Mario Tennis Fever. Now, I was a little disappointed that it doesn't seem like it's getting the outfit treatment that Mario Kart World did, but based off of Aces, the last Mario Tennis game that was on the Switch, that was the game where Daisy really started showing her stuff, where she was much thicker than Peach, and that's when things started shaking up. I was always Peach Booty, I was always the Peach guy, and then I was like, oh, Daisy, and then Daisy got into Ultimate shortly after that, got the butt-based moveset, and now you get Mario Kart, you get the heavyweights of Rosalina, and especially Pauline, so I want to see if the Mario women and their asses, if it kind of shifts again. What is the order? Daisy's in the shorts. Is Pauline thicker in this one than she was in Aces? Even Rosalina is looking quite thick in this game, and obviously Peach as well. So I'm definitely curious to see where Mario Tennis Fever goes with the princesses of Mario. So we're going to be sticking with Nintendo, and I'm going to be talking about the game overall that I'm most hyped up for. Now, I don't talk about general gaming tastes that much on this channel, but Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of my favorite games of all time, and this Fortune's Weave trailer was one of the best video game trailers that I've seen. The music was great, and I tend to switch, no pun intended, between Fire Emblem Three Houses and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as my favorite Switch game, both in my top 3 favorite games of all time. So when it comes to butts, though, both of those games also have a lot of really good butts. And I'll slip this in here before I forget that Monolith Soft will probably also announce their next game this year, so we could be seeing more butts from them as well. But sticking with Fire Emblem and Fortune's Weave, we don't get to see that many butts in this trailer, but you see a couple of the women. You can tell they're probably quite thick depending on which path, if there are going to be paths or house or allegiance that you choose. I'm curious to know more about that, but that is my most hyped up game this year, and there's definitely going to be good asses, and I won't be surprised if one of the best asses is who I end up S ranking. So we will move on from Nintendo for now and talk about one more game that is currently getting updates, and that is, of course, Marvel Rivals. You're seeing Invisible Woman's newest outfit, the latest of the ass-based outfits in Marvel Rivals, and there isn't too much specifically that I want to talk about in this video. I did predict Rogue as one of the characters, and she ended one of the best years of video game asses, getting into Marvel Rivals in December. But the one character that I think that could potentially surpass her, because they seem to keep on bringing in women that are going to potentially have a bigger ass than whatever was the previous biggest ass in the game. And the obvious answer is She-Hulk, especially seeing Deadpool and what they were doing with him. It made me want a female character that's similar, that has that more like playful energy and will have ass-based taunts, and She-Hulk is the best for that in my opinion. So let's go from one Marvel project to another, and that is a new game coming out this year that doesn't have a release date as of yet, but that is Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. And if She-Hulk were to be in this game, that would be great. The problem is, my biggest problem with this game right now and how they've marketed it is, since this reveal trailer that I'm showing in this video right now, there has been mathematically, numerically, zero character reveals since this trailer first dropped back around the summer. Like, this game has been at a lot of events. They've talked about betas that you can play, and there have been events where people have been able to play the game, but there has been zero, and I mean zero, character reveals, which is kind of crazy to me, and it's not going to be at EVO this year, so that has me worried about this game. But if we do get a She-Hulk, if we do get a Black Widow, we already have Storm, who seems fairly caked up from what we've seen so far, so I am excited for character reveals, but I'm starting to think that they just don't exist. Like, I'm not lying here, I would not be surprised if this game releases and this is the base roster. That's what it feels like to me. I don't want that to happen. Overall, I don't think it's going to happen, but I specifically would not be surprised if that's what happened. So, yes, the way they marketed this game has been complete ass, but hoping that they complete the game with more ass other than just Storm. And speaking of Storm, this game will cause a storm when it finally releases, and that is, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. And we see the main character here, Lucia, who we've seen has a big fat jiggly ass, so I'm excited to see more of her ass, and obviously we're going to get a lot of NPCs and potentially other characters with the thickness that she has. But the biggest thing with this game, obviously, is the release date. Is it going to release this year? I really hope it does. I'm not much of a GTA guy, but of course, I'll be getting this one for reasons, very big reasons. A very big singular reason, at least. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game does release that Lucia will be a lot of people's boadies. It's such a popular game, and it's such a fat ass that we've seen so far. So let's keep talking about new games coming out this year. And the last one in this video that I have with an actual release date, which is May 27th as of right now, is 007 First Light. Now, we haven't really seen many of the asses, very similar to Fortune's Weave, but it is a Bond game, a current Bond game. I would just assume that we're going to see some decent butts. And I do plan on playing this game. I haven't really played a Bond game since like GoldenEye, Nightfire, back in the day. So I'm hoping this game is good, but even if it is ass, I hope that it has ass. And if it does, you best believe I will be making videos of it. And speaking of older games that I haven't played in a while, or that I just haven't played, period, is Tomb Raider. I think I might have messed around with some of them at friends' houses back when I was a kid, but I never owned a Tomb Raider game because I never had an original PlayStation. But Lara Croft is one of the first and most well-known, like, femme fatale kind of video game character. A leading female that was attractive, hot, had a body, I would say more known for boobs than ass, but still like a pretty decent ass. Even in the reboots, she's still fairly curvy. It's not the biggest ass in the world. We've been getting so many huge butts. It's kind of like real life with the Kardashians and BBLs and such, that I know when people saw her ass in this game, some of them were like, "What ass are you talking about? That's no ass at all." People have just forgotten what like an average ass looks like, and this is definitely above average. It's still a decent ass. We're talking about Lara Croft here. Like I said, it's not the biggest ass in the world, but it's still nice, and they're still giving us butt shots. So I'm gonna take what I can here. So we have one last Marvel game that I have to talk about, and that is, of course, Marvel's Wolverine. And the only female character, notably, that we've seen in the trailer is Mystique, who we know can turn into anybody. But with how adult this game is looking, kind of similar to the overall James Bond experience, I wouldn't be surprised to see hot, curvy women. I know Insomniac Games hasn't been the greatest with that, but Black Cat does exist. So I'm keeping my hopes up for this. I do think it's going to be a good game regardless, but just like I said with James Bond, if it is ass, let's just hope that it has some ass other than just Mystique. So let's change tones here, considering that ass comes in plenty different tones, plenty different shapes and sizes. And let's go from Wolverine to Pokemon. Because we've seen in Legends EA, and even in Scarlet and Violet, we've seen some ass in Pokemon. And anyone who follows Pokemon knows that we're getting Gen 10 this year in February, Pokemon Day. That is most likely when it's going to be announced. And hopefully the graphics improve more so we can see some of these better, curvier asses that they were trying to showcase during the Switch era, and even a little bit before that. I don't have any specific butts to really talk about here. Sometimes, like Serena here, you get Pokemon that also got ass. So who really knows what we're getting with in Gen 10? We're gonna have to wait a little over a month before we see it for the first time. But best believe we gonna get some ass, whether that's talking about the bad graphics or just the good ass. So let's end this video talking about a game that might not even come out this year, 2026, and that is Atomic Heart 2, which was shown off during Summer Games Fest. A lot of people memed the moment where two giant fat asses just enveloped our screen. But I've seen those two robotic twins a lot from the first game. I have never played the first game. I'm definitely excited to try this one out if it does come out this year, or even next year, whenever it does come out. But we've seen the butts in this game, and we know they're big, and they seem to have a huge pull for when it comes to Atomic Heart in general. So I don't have much else to say about Atomic Heart 2, only that it's the last game that seems to be trying to have a release window in 2026 that has the ass that it does. So that's pretty much everything I have for my 2026 video game ass predictions. If I missed anything obvious, anything you guys personally know about it, definitely put it in the comments. I know things like Code Vein 2 is coming out this January where you can create a character with a big ass, but I was kind of turned off by the fact that it doesn't have multiplayer, because that would have been a good co-op game. But there's definitely create a character type games out there, and there's probably other games I missed and other games that have yet to be revealed for this year, 2026, when it comes to ass. So if you want to see more about the ass that ends up coming out in video games this year, then you guys know what to do all the YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys for more video game ass videos in 2026.